morning, folks. We're at the Florida Railroad Museum on today is June 27th, 2020. And we have something in front of me right now that I didn't think I'd be seeing for a while. Number 204 is on the main line, and she's gonna pull the 2 p.m. trip today, along with a new event that I have to document that the museum is putting on for the summer, called Summer Nights. That train will leave at 7:30 p.m. and it'll go to Willow. It's a new event for the summer to spicing it up a little bit, but we're here for that thing. It was not long after the 11 a.m. trip had concluded that locomotive engineer Peter Mason would open the side panel doors to start up 204 for one of the first times on the main line. Light her up. Hold on, let's rewind just a little bit. Just about 2 months before this day, renovations on this locomotive were complete and it was ready for the road. But rewinding back to spring 2017 was, I believe, the time that the museum saw this engine on their property for the very first time, after getting it from a scrapyard. Obviously, at one point or another, this locomotive worked for the Santa Fe as an F7 engine. But when its time had come, in what I believe to be LaGrange, Illinois, it was rebuilt and renovated to a CF7. This one being the very last CF7 to still have its original F7 cab. You can tell because it is rounded. But after receiving the engine, there really weren't many plans to renovate it to what it is today, so it sat on display in Parrish for about a year afterwards. But just over a year later, when the museum found that the engine could still start up and almost run, there were sparks in the heads of everyone. And now, this is what the locomotive looks like today. This is what the engine looked like in September 2018. Not much hope for this engine was had at this point, but you'd be surprised by what the museum folks were able to do. Repainting the engine, replacing cylinders, and many other mechanical parts, the engine was brought back to life and is to run this day. The Floridian history part of this locomotive comes from its prior ownership, Mosaic IMC. Another little fun fact, the museum's Alco S2M number 251 was under the exact same ownership as 204, not exactly sure when, but at some point during their lifetimes, these two locomotives were both under the exact same ownership of IMC. Both now reside at the Florida Railroad Museum and will pull trains north and south for years to come. But June 27th, 2020 would be the official maiden run of 204 on one of the museum's revenue excursions. Alright, let's get back to Parrish. We're starting this baby up. Was on the southern end of the main line, they would have to move the train around so they could get it to the front to pull the 2 p.m. excursion. So to do that, they would push the train past the northern switch and put 204 in the side track, pull the train back south of the switch, then pull 204 back onto the main line and put it on the front of the train. Just off to the right here, as we pull 204 onto the side, we have an event going on that required the museum to loan 2 of their cars for the day. Pizza and politics. I'm not sure what the exact motive of this event is, but a lot of people came out here, and unfortunately we didn't get any pizza. Okay, enough fumbling with the consist. It's 2:00 p.m. and it's time for the train to head north. Number 204 is ready to go. Passing by right now is the 6324, an ex-Ringling Brothers elephant car that has just gotten new lettering and is also on the train today. Also, just as a side note, to anybody else who was alongside me today, especially the crew, y'all were troopers today. This was during the period when this part of Florida was getting no rain. All day, almost from dawn to sunset, the heat index was over 110 and the humidity was way up there. It was undoubtedly a treat to be able to come out here and see the 204 on the road for the first time, but it came at a heavy price. This is by far my hottest rail fanning day so far. I'm honestly not sure if I could do another one of these. It was almost too much to take. Right here, the train would come to a stop, and 204 would run around the train on the track in the foreground to couple onto the rear and then shove the train to Willow and pull to Parish. The train spends roughly 10 minutes inside Willow to allow the passengers to observe the things that they have inside their Willow depot such as old artifacts and train models. However, because of COVID-19 and social distancing requirements, they are also allowing guests to go into the field where they would normally have special event items. The Summer Nights run, which will leave at 7:30, will be no different than this weekend trip, besides the addition of a possibly beautiful summer sunset. Two main people to point out were chasing 204's maiden trip with me today. Andrew from Baldwin Loco 12 on YouTube. Go give his channel a look. He too uploads a fair amount of Florida Railroad Museum videos. And fellow number 2 would be William Grayson Chestnut. This guy I know very well. This guy is not only one of the few people that did all the work to renovate this engine, but he too has a personal special event coming up here at 7:30. More on that one later. One long blast of the horn would signify a successful maiden run of 204. Once all of the passengers disembarked, everybody would be off duty until the 7:30 trip. And since we would not be getting any pizza today from the Pizza and Politics group, for the time being me and the guys went on south to an Italian restaurant to get our own pizza and to get out of the heat for a few minutes. First annual run of New Event Summer Nights. Leaving out at 7:30. Getting ready to go right now.
Okay,
Getting ready to go.
we're ready to go, so all aboard!
This was the museum's first run of their event Summer Nights, but this wouldn't just be any run on the railroad. The man at the controls of the 204 tonight was none other than Mr. Chestnut. This would be his official maiden run as a solo, certified locomotive engineer. A gigantic congratulations to you, bud. You worked for this, and you earned it. And you played the part well as we chase him down the 6.5-mile stretch into the night and back. Grayson, yeah. After Grayson has ran around the train and put the 204 on the south end, we get a low angle as he shoves the train into the yard. This is it. Train has arrived at Willow just after 8:20 p.m. Riders get to enjoy what there is of a summer sunset for about 10 minutes. As the 204 sits here under its own power in the fading light, it really makes me think about all the work that's gone into this engine. The long, hard-working months put in by 2 or 3 guys with nothing but their heart's passion for this gave so much of their time, most of it volunteered, to bring this thing back to life. And one of those guys gets to do the honors and roll her back south tonight. These mosquitoes are, oh my god, they suck! Grayson got the train back just after the last bit of daylight vanished from this tiny town.
Good stuff, I'll stop.
And that would be a double success. A successful run of the first summer night on the museum, and a successful first run of Grayson at the throttle. It was now after this relaxing trip that the riders got to make their way home, but the last of the crew still had work to do. By the time everyone else was gone, Alex and Grayson and I were the only people left. Alex and Grayson were to take the train back to Willow. I would join them for part of that operation, but not all of it. I had a mom waiting in the car who was just as tired as I was, and we were both ready to get back to our homes and get our nights of sleep. Okay.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah.
We would take the train about 2 miles back north, and my mom were to meet us at Dickey Road, where the crew was kind enough to drop me off. Well, I shouldn't even say crew at this point. I know these guys like family. should I then say huge thanks to Alex Martin and William Grayson Chestnut. And Grayson, if you're watching this, and I know you are because you've been bugging me for 2 weeks about this video, I congratulate you completely. Today, though hot and muggy, was really good. It was a really powerful time and moment to see you at the controls of what I believe to be your favorite locomotive. Today was awesome, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Maybe if you drop the temperature by a few degrees, that is. So this would be our last shot as the train heads north into the night. Made the little mistake of not having my mom turn on the headlights for this last shot, but hopefully you can see enough to realize that the train is moving. Here under the moonlight of Dickey Road is where we would end the long but rewarding day. The people that I mentioned in these videos, I really could not make the content I do without, and I appreciate all of them greatly. So under the moonlight of Parrish, Florida, this is Kotabeaner, and I will see you next time on the Sunshine State Rails.